What's good, people? JC3 here. Money. The diet dude's going, baby. Here we go. I'm just so excited. You know, every single time that I get to come on here and talk to y'all, man, it's just a great time. It really is a blessing. Like every year after year, we do this, and it just keeps getting better and better. I appreciate everyone who's already out in the chat. Of course, you know how this runs is we're gonna have this going on. My little intro monologue here, whatever we want to call this. We're gonna get into some highlights playing behind me. Then we'll get into a live Zoom. We'll talk with people. We'll talk with some of you in the chat as well. I'm already seeing the loyal guys out here, man. They're always here. Mark Robertson, Dr. Philly Willie, Dennis Induritu. You just gotta love it. You gotta love it. And we also had a account basketball comment, Drew and Chris useless. So that's tough. That's tough. That's tough. We'll read out some of that chat. As you can see, the title of this video, when your best just isn't enough. If I can maybe get out of the way here. Oh no, see, I always go the opposite way. Giannis StatsNet, of course, 42 and 12. They gave it to him. They're basically doing the halfback dive play. I saw that on Twitter. Give it to Giannis, get out of his way. But that was the deal tonight right there with him. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. There's that nice looking background we got behind me, man. These two guys right here, put my head down. Drew and Chris in Middleton, man, they got to bounce back. They got to bounce back. Dan McKeever is out here as well. Dan McKeever, man. One of the official, I mean, he's an official supporter. We got, let's see, Khalid. I got to get that name right. Abdirrahman. Doing this emoji. What's up, bro? What's up? Hopefully I got some of it right. But Dan is one of the guys. He copped that merch. You see I'm repping that merch. He actually copped it. Like, the merch is going to be in the chat, I believe. I believe merch is pinned. Maybe it's not pinned. But it's below every single one of my videos. It's 15 bucks. You know what I mean? I don't ask for a lot on this channel. I appreciate just the support coming out here. But if you want to go the extra mile and get shouted out for doing so, just buy the shirt, man. 15 bucks. Who else is giving you a $15 shirt? I believe this is Hanes Cotton. So Michael Jordan, Hanes, like this is a good brand. Anyway, I'm stalling way too much. We got to get to this Zoom. We got to get to everything that we got going on here tonight. So let's go ahead and get into what we got to get into with these highlights. And of course, we'll go ahead and we'll follow along, all that good stuff. So we'll have that rolling, and well, I'm just going to stay off to the side of one of these right here. So game two, obviously Giannis started with that dunk. I mean, just the crazy stuff he does, right? Drew Holiday, you see the highlights of him at the beginning of this game. He came out notably more aggressive. He's looking to score a lot more. He had 6 early points. And I'm ahead here because the highlight's not even at Bucks overall, 6 points. But Giannis and Drew, they were attacking the paint early on, which is something I said they should have done more last game because they have that size advantage inside. They should be going in there. But Phoenix did the exact opposite. While Milwaukee was attacking inside, Phoenix said the 3 is better than 2. The Suns started the game with 5 threes for all of their first 15 points, and they finished the first quarter that is, with 8 threes. 24 of their first 26 points were threes. They trailed at the end of the first 29-26. We'll let the highlights play out here, but just so you can see the barrage of threes by Phoenix. We talk about down there in the Valley of the Sun, right? They're famous for that 7 seconds or less offense years ago. They're famous for innovative ways of playing the game. And tonight they were all modern NBA, downtown, let's hit it. And that's all that they were doing in this first quarter right here. Jay Crowder getting in on the action. But the crazy thing is the Bucks have actually started really well the past couple first quarters. I believe that was, yeah, there you go, Chris Paul. Sidetracked, but that was their first shot that was not a 3 in this game. The Bucks started well in the first quarter in the last couple of games. But then we'll see, and as the highlights progress, Phoenix just goes on this run in the second quarter, and they just start pulling away. They mount like a 5 to 10 point lead, sometimes a little bit more than that. The Bucks chip into it a little bit, but they can never get past that 5 to 10 point threshold. It's like the entire game, it just remains there. And so it happened in the second and third quarters again tonight. the Suns would pull ahead in this one, 48-41. That'll come up eventually. Jrue Holiday, I don't know if they're going to show the highlights on here, because usually in these highlight runbacks, there's just a lot of made baskets and stuff like that. But he had some incredible blocks in the second quarter. And on one of these plays, you could tell, man, the rest of the team just wasn't in it. Holiday came down and he blocked, I believe it was a Devin Booker dunk. And literally no other Bucks sprinted past the half-court line. They were able to get the rebound, the Suns that is, and give it to DeAndre Ayton, who was trailing the play for a wide-open dunk. Here it is right here, as I just described it. Where are the rest of the Bucks? Okay, one other Buck, Bryn Forbes sprinted back. But where are the rest of where's the team? Like, you got a guy out there giving it his all in Jrue Holiday defensively. Like we said, if you're not going to score a bunch of points, he did not shoot great again tonight. I believe he was in the 30s in field goal percentage again. But if you're not going to score a bunch of points and, really fill the stat sheet that way, then you got to impact the game in different areas. And Jrue Holiday, I mean, God, man, even for a max contract, right, you got to expect him to do more offensively. But at least his effort defensively was still there. You got to have the rest of your teammates, get on board with that. Look at that tough shot, Devin Booker. That's nice right there. Over Giannis. Just crazy, just crazy. This possession right here was so wild. And what you didn't see on this is before this, there was probably about 5 to 7 more passes that Phoenix had on this possession. The ball movement, insane there. Okay, so we're into the third. Obviously, Phoenix, like I said, they've mounted this run. They go on mini runs throughout the game. It's no massive, barrage, but they just, every time the Bucks make a run, Devin Booker 3, Chris Paul 3. The second chance killed the Bucks at the end of this game. So many second chance points given up, and Mikal Bridges had himself a night. Bridges finished tonight with 27 points, 7 rebounds, and of course Giannis did everything. Fighting at the beginning of the third here, you see they're getting the lead, dwindling it down just a little bit. Brook Lopez drives in, but this is one of them runs again. Phoenix goes right back and look at pushing it again, double-digit lead. So every time the Bucks would come and cut that lead to single digits or even get it down to as little as 5, Phoenix would counter. Milwaukee tonight was going all Giannis, but the one thing that's a little bit offsetting, I guess, about that game plan is that you got a bunch of guys standing around watching the ball, right? So you just watch Giannis do the work. Nobody else is really in a rhythm. And so the Bucks got to figure that out. You see the lead there was 5 for Phoenix in the third. Chris Paul hits a 3 in the corner. Pat Connaughton played pretty well tonight. Number of threes. Yeah, I mean, that's his role. He's doing exactly what they call him to do. But Devin Booker, this is the key, man. Be legendary. Seriously. What Mark Jackson said on the broadcast about sowing seeds, right? We know that's, well, we might not all know it, but that's originally a biblical principle. If you sow seeds into people, right, whatever you sow, you're going to reap, and you can do that into people. Main thing is pass positivity along. Doesn't hurt. I mean, only the opposite hurts. So you might as well pass positivity along. And that's what Kobe Bryant did to Devin Booker. Right? Kobe Bryant did that exact thing to Devin Booker. He gave him the parting words in his final matchup with him about be legendary. Right? Booker got it on his shoes, signed by Kobe, got it tatted, and now he's doing exactly that. I mean, this is the type of performance where you're not going to let your team lose. You're not going to let your team lose. Although Giannis was doing everything, right? Look at the improved. Everybody who wants to say that this guy, right, doesn't have a bunch of skill, whatever, I understand it. And I'll probably even lean toward Chris Middleton being the better overall basketball player on the Bucks, although he really hasn't shown it in this series. But pure basketball talent is what I'm talking about. But Giannis, the point that I was getting at is that, I mean, Giannis can do a lot more than just drive in, as you saw a couple of plays there. But this guy as well can do a lot more. Devin Booker from the arc. And it was the second chance again. Those opportunities that absolutely killed the Bucks. At this point in the fourth, around the 6-minute mark, the Bucks, down 13, they needed about 5 stops in a row. I said it while I was watching the game. They got 4 of them. But there were a couple of them. You see, they start to make the run. Jrue Holiday gets this and one right here on Booker. This was the run. This was the push that we've been waiting for. Okay, this is it, right? This is where they make their comeback. See, Giannis can hit some fadeaways, but it was a couple of those plays where they did turn the ball over. They didn't score every stop, and it was this, like I said, the second chance absolutely killed the Bucks. DeAndre Ayton, the only guy down there, right? But it's because Giannis is helping off, right? This was off a second chance opportunity as well. They didn't show it. DeAndre Ayton, look at the fan. DeAndre Ayton afforded that. But it's such a huge swing because that's 5 points right there. Phoenix was at 105. Second chance opportunities. Chris Paul 3. Jay Crowder mid-range shot. And Phoenix up to 110, now 112. If it's 105, right, the Bucks are now, they'd only be within a couple of points. Right, so those second chance opportunities, absolutely, I mean, slam the door on any chance that the Bucks had. And Phoenix walks out of here 118-108 victors. And so there was good adjustments, right, made to this game plan. I mean, Drew Holiday was going under screens. They were not getting that high pick and roll going, like for Phoenix that is. None of that was happening. But there were other adjustments throughout the game that needed to be made. And just effort, I mean, I don't even know if it's necessarily adjustment, like just effort plays. Like, how are you going to have DeAndre Ayton down there? And again, he's a big man, he's a force. But he's the only one down there. And you got the rest gets the back tap rebounds. Man, you know, this is the finals. There's got to be some effort. There was a Torrey Craig injury tonight, I'm going to be honest. Didn't fully see what happened there, so maybe we could have Phil on here to talk about that. Booker finished with 31. Bridges, of course, 27 and 7. Franchise record of 23s for the Suns. And Giannis had 42 points and 12 assists. Again, when your best simply just isn't good enough. Holiday had 17 points and 7 assists, 33 and a third % from the field. And I'll pull up the rest of the stats. I believe Middleton had like 11. Man, so when your main guys, right, you're looking at the big three, Ayton, Paul, Booker, all did their jobs. Giannis, Holiday to an extent, and Middleton, not much at all. And then for the Suns, when you get a role player like a Mikal Bridges coming in there with 27, I mean, that is an absolute knockout blow. How do you expect to win games when that is happening? Yeah, Chris Middleton had 11 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists. I mean, shoot, 8 assists, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? All right. So we are going to get this Zoom going. Let me read off some of this before you guys introduce yourselves. This chat has really been popping off, so I appreciate all of you. Khalid made a good point. I know, Dennis, you may eventually want to answer this. The Bucks are 9-1 at home, right? And Mark, I saw you earlier today, and I said the only team that beat them was the Hawks, and Trae Young had to have 48. It was a historic performance. So his Bucks coming back in the series, and you never know with these playoffs. You got Phillip, admit him into the waiting room. So, Mark, you got to see some of the game. From what you saw that possession, you commented earlier, the 20 pass possession or something like that, right?
Yeah.
What did you see out the Suns tonight that impressed you the most?
It was just interesting seeing how crazy the Suns were being on offense when it came to it. I saw somebody comment on Twitter about how they were passing, and it was like it would make the old Spurs proud. And because the Spurs were known for being a really good passing team before shooting. And so they would always get wide open shots for Ginobili or for Parker or any of their good shooters, and then they're really good on defense. And then with that possession, you know, me and you were watching it, and I was just like, are they going to shoot? Are they going to shoot? Are they going to shoot? And then the last second, they got the pass into Aiden. He dunked over 2 and got an and 1. And I was like, okay. Like, that was crazy.
Yeah.
And then you get later on in the game, you get basically Booker's like, this is my game. And he hits one in the face of, I don't remember exactly who it was. I think it was either, it was over Chris Middleton, I think. You remember that? And he like hit one right in the face.
It was either Middleton or Tucker on the right corner. Yeah, he would step up and make those big shots. I want to kick it over to Dennis. Dennis, obviously supporting the Bucks in this series.
Yes,
you
sir.
are.
Yes, sir.
You said Milwaukee would come back and win this game.
Yes.
What do you think was the main thing that went wrong?
First of all, I just want to begin by congratulating the Suns on the Game 2 win. Although things didn't go according to plan as I had expected for the Bucks, I still root for the Bucks even if we're down 0-2. And Giannis came in and balled out, but these other guys, Chris Middleton. There's a question you asked me yesterday about who am I gonna pick, Chris Middleton or Jason Tatum. This was the reason why I picked Jason Tatum. Chris Middleton is a great player. But sometimes, he can pull off a dud like this game, 11 points. You expect him to, this is a guy who's supposed to be getting like at least 25 points in the game. I mean,
Right.
then also this other thing, right? I was watching the game all through. Then after in the second half, there was this like 10-point lead that just kept on being constant. The Suns were up 10 all the time. It was either 10 or
Yep.
13.
Yep.
The Bucks weren't able to offset it. Then when I was watching late in the game, like 5 minutes in the fourth quarter, Drew Holiday went for that strong and one on Devin Booker. I thought that was a run. Then Giannis hit that jump, hit that mid range. I thought that was the run that the Bucks needed to,
Yep.
go to overtime. But that didn't happen. I mean, Devin Booker was just hitting back to back to back to back threes. Nobody was stopping it. You know, I mean, CP3 did his thing, and CP3
Yeah. Well,
did.
what you said about that Bucks run, that was their chance right there.
Yes.
That
Oh,
was the point where there's about 6 minutes in that fourth quarter. They had to get
yes.
about 5 stops. They got those stops, but the offensive rebounds from Aiton out to Chris Paul in the corner and then to Jay Crowder mid-range jump shot, that put them to bed. What else did you have to say?
I mean, the Bucks. I mean, Giannis did his thing. Giannis came in. I'm seeing the stat sheet right now. Giannis just came in and balled out the way he's supposed to. He played 40 minutes, 42 points, 12 rebound, double double. He did everything he could. But these other guys, I mean, okay, Chris Middleton. I'm going to hold the fire on this guy because man, I expected more from Chris Middleton in this game. If a guy like Mikal Bridges can score 27 points, he didn't make the All-Star team, but Chris Middleton, you only scored 11 points and you make two All-Star teams. That's a problem for me. I'm not taking that lightly. This guy just, he didn't play well at all. Drew Holiday, I made a comment the previous stream. I just said if the offense doesn't work, go to defense. He actually was going at him defensively and he was taking the
Yep.
occasional
Yep.
shot. He did what he could. Giannis did what he could, but Chris Middleton didn't play well. The Bucks weren't getting back on defense. They were not getting their second chance points. This time I was watching the game, right? And offensive rebounds, like the ball just went to Devin Booker hit a baseline shot. He went for the offensive rebound, scored it. This time the Bucks were just watching the ball. They're just watching the ball just go through. I mean, what's going on? I mean, you're supposed to, not ball watch during the game. You have to, make sure to pick up your guy, and
Yep. Get a body on, box out.
yeah, I mean
Yeah,
that.
and it seemed like Aiton was doing that. I want to kick it to Philip. Khalid just said in the chat, by the way, I think he's referring to Giannis. For a guy that's not 100%, it's crazy that he's putting up the numbers that he is, absolutely, and playing the way he is. And we had that conversation at the end of last live stream about how is he even playing at the high of a level after coming off such a great, level of a strain. So to Philip, Aiton tonight didn't have the crazy 19 rebounds like last game. He had 10 points, 11 rebounds. But there was a clip of Monty Williams talking to him on the bench saying, hey, you may not impact the game with stats every time, but you got to impact it with force. He did exactly that. He answered the call right after that at the end of the game. That's one of the things that stood out for me. Anything about Aiton or anything else on the Suns stand out for you?
So you mentioned Monty Williams, and this is something that I just sort of realized when watching the game. Why is it that the Suns coaching staff, they all have like that pamphlet? I think it has like a list of set plays or something. The Bucks don't have anything. If you look at like the coaching staff, they just have, the whiteboard or the tablets, but all
Interesting note.
it was interesting to sort of see that. I'm also seeing that people are calling Coach Bud Light. That's pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah, it's real. I mean, he doesn't make the same adjustments throughout the game. And the timeouts that Williams takes is always like right on time, right at the correct time when the Bucks make their sort of mini runs to get back. He always calls a timeout right on time, and his team responds
Yeah, true.
out of the timeout. The coaching is, I mean, you've seen a different level of coaching. Monty Williams, I mean, nothing but respect, obviously, for his personal life. He went through a lot of really hard stuff, responded in such a gracious way. And his coach, Chris Paul, earlier in his career when he was in New Orleans, has great connections with his team. And you can tell when a team legitimately likes to play for a coach and wants to play for a coach. And this is the situation here. There's respect that is mutual. It goes both ways, and he makes great adjustments. Really quick as well, I want to ask you, Philip. Torrey Craig, did you get to see that injury? What happened there? Like somebody was driving. Was it Giannis or somebody driving into
It was
him?
Giannis.
And he fell on the baseline.
Giannis.
Yeah. So what happened there?
Honestly, I'm not sure. He was grabbing the right knee. I believe it could be a bone bruise because it collided, and not only that, he landed awkwardly too. Giannis also like landed awkwardly with the left knee, and that left knee was the one that actually collided with Torrey Craig's right knee. So this is probably I would consider it a contact injury. We'll see what the actual professionals have to say because I'm not a doctor obviously yet. So yeah, we'll see.
Yet he's getting there. He's getting there.
We'll see
Yeah.
what the actual diagnosis is. It turns out I was right. It was a sprain P, not strain with a T. A sprain
Okay.
is with the ligaments. Strain is with muscles and tendons. It was the PCL, and I remembered last time I said I think it's a sprain on one of the either ACL or PCL, and it turns out I believe it was a PCL, non-contact injury.
Okay, good to know. Good to know for the adjustment. We'll kick it back over to Mark. So earlier you said you think the Suns can take one game in Milwaukee and come back and close it out in 5.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, Suns take one L. And then they blow them out the next game, and then they come home and they say, we're the champs. Sorry, Giannis. Have a good night.
That's tough. But hey, at this point, like, I don't know what else Milwaukee. Now to Dennis, one of the things that could be a sign of encouragement, if you're from Milwaukee's perspective, is that you just had to go through this Phoenix team where Chris Paul has an unbelievable historic game 1. Had a performance that hadn't been done. Those numbers, I believe, 20 some odd points and 8 assists in a debut since Michael Jordan, in a debut in a final since '91, Michael Jordan. Chris Paul had to have that type of game in game 1. Now game 2, you had to have Devin Booker with 31. You had to have a couple of offensive rebounds that went your way at the end. And Mikal Bridges, who nobody expects to score as much as he did, scored 27. While at the same time, the two main money players, big money players on your team, Holiday and Middleton, only combined for 28 points, right? And you only lose by 10. All of that to say, I mean, can they take something positive out of that? Is it as simple as just Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday play better, or do the Bucks need a different game plan?
So disappointed when I see a Drew Holiday rushing back on D. I talked about this earlier. He needed to, get that elite defense. He did. But the other Bucks roster was just lagging behind. Nobody could even stop that DeAndre Ayton dunk after the block from Drew Holiday. Someone has to pick that up. Someone has to pick that up, and
Yeah, that was a telltale sign. I mean, there's just a certain thing about an effort, and you get this far, and you expect guys to come back, sprint back, especially if you know that's Holiday going after the play. And he had 2 great. I mean, he had a block on that Booker dunk that you just described. And then later in that quarter, I believe he blocked DeAndre Ayton on a dunk or something going to the hole. So that guy's never going to quit defensively. And so the rest of your team, you got to sprint back. I hear what you're saying about the effort.
I'm saying is, Josh, what I'm saying is, I mean, it's a collective effort. It's not just about, but the Giannis dropping 42 points. He did, but they got an L. So everyone has to, come in and do their role. Like, I expect Chris Middleton to come in, ask for the ball. There's this time I saw Giannis was really asking for the ball. He was like, "Give me the ball." He was asking for the ball, and he was given, and he went directly to the rim and scored it. I didn't see the same aggression with Chris Middleton. A star player, has to know his role on the court, and he has to be aware of what he can do and what he cannot do. But he has to have a awareness of what he can do. Like Chris Middleton, he has to know, if I get open and and someone finds me open in the 3 and I can, hit that 3, I take that 3, right? Those they need somewhat of like and also just to echo what Philip said. I mean, Mike Budenholzer, they didn't have like any like timeout. I feel like, okay, let me just say this: the thing that I've seen, the whole Bucks organization right at the start of the playoffs. I have not seen a situation where, the Bucks, like even in a timeout, like they come out with more creative plays. I mean, Mike Budenholzer is not a coach. I feel like Mike Budenholzer is not a coach like who does like adjustments like mid game that they can win this game. If he could have that ability, we wouldn't be in that situation where the Suns are leading in a 10-0. They have a 10-point lead that's not going away. Then the Bucks cannot stop it. If Mike Budenholzer was that coach that can make in an adjustment and timeout, he can change the way the offense is and be able to offset that deficit. So I feel that's the thing, man. Now the Bucks.
Yeah. The adjustments, I hear you. Swing it over to Philip. Uh, Giannis, right? Big night, 42 points, 12 rebounds. But the offense can get a little bit stagnant when you got one guy. Basically, give me the ball, I drive, I score. The other guys, obviously, were not able to get into much of a rhythm. Besides, maybe you could argue Pat Connaughton with 14 off the bench. Is that the type of game plan that they should go with offensively next game? I mean, you don't definitely want to say Giannis scoring a bunch of points is a bad thing, but the 2 games with him back, the whole team is not able to get that rhythm that they got with in the Hawks series with Giannis out. How do they address that?
I honestly don't know, to be completely honest.
And that's fair. I mean, I don't think there's any clear answer. But it's kind of head scratching. Like, how do you have your best player score so many points and you just can't pull through? And then without him, you win. It's just really weird.
I mean, it doesn't help that Chris Middleton, he was honestly cold tonight. Usually he's pretty streaky as a player. So the fact that he's cold tonight, I'm expecting him to have a bounce back game, especially going home. Though I agreed with Mark, honestly. The Bucks will probably take at least the next game. They'll win a couple home games. Phoenix might take one game from the Bucks home, though, and then win at the Phoenix Arena. So yeah, I don't know how the Bucks go on from here. They have 3 shot creators that are out there, but they're always out there like at the same time. Coach Bud Light needs to honestly stagger their minutes. Yeah, outside of that, I really don't know. The Suns, they were playing beautiful basketball. It looked like every possession they had a plan, at least, or they were actually running set play. And the Bucks, they were just Giannis iso ball, Chris Middleton maybe, or Drew Holiday finally brings it down and then starts something.
Yeah, much different how that game evolved versus the beginning when you saw both Holiday and Giannis attacking the rim, and it seemed like, okay, they're going to pound it inside. And it was working at first. Like, their first quarters have been good these past 2 games, but the Phoenix 3-point barrage is something else. I mean, tonight, obviously the franchise record 23s that they had in this game, they shot 20 out of 40. They shot 50% from downtown, and Milwaukee only 9 for 31, 29%. And again, another stat that was wild, free throws tonight, Phoenix 12 of 14 and Milwaukee 15 to 23. As a team throughout the playoffs, they said this on the broadcast, it's like the highest free throw percentage as a team in NBA playoff history. They're shooting, the Suns that is, like 87% from the line as a team. Now, if you're like Milwaukee, you're not going to get that because Giannis is shooting so many free throws from the line, and he's like a 55 to 60% free throw shooter himself. But as a team, Phoenix 87% from the line. And so they really don't have any weaknesses in their game because it's not like you can say Devin Booker is just a scorer. Okay, we'll attack him on defense. No, he's a very legitimate, capable defender. Chris Paul can do both. Their supporting players are really good. Jay Crowder can be a pest defensively and hit some threes. They have Ayton inside. The only thing that, and any of you can take this and we'll kind of wrap up here. The only thing that I think Milwaukee really needs to, if they can exploit anything, is Phoenix is starting to thin out, right? They're losing, key role players like a Saric. Maybe they don't have a Torrey Craig. But the thing is, like, you may not see them in the statistical impact, but they're providing minutes that Crowder needs to rest, that, most important, that a Booker or a Paul needs to rest. Those are the minutes that these guys are going to be taking up. And now without him, I mean, maybe the Bucks can take advantage of that somehow in terms of just controlling the pace of the game. But any final thoughts from you, Mark, other than it's just going to be Suns runaway?
So I wanted to touch. So I'm just looking at the stat line real quick, and I wanted to touch on what you just said, how they're thinning out.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're really thinning out. Maybe for like a guy the size of Sarge, but if they're losing a Terry and Craig, they still have a Javon Carter, a Langston Galloway, a Etwan Moore, which 2 out of the 3 of those are still great 3-point shooters, and a couple of them have played pretty good defense throughout their careers. So I think it could be a thin, but they could still have some little tiny pieces back in there that can help fill out those.
Yeah.
But I know that there's the whole thing about the 9-1, but I feel like not only seeing how the Suns have played through this entire playoffs, but knowing that this is Chris Paul's first and only time in his career that he's played in the finals, and the way that he's played the first 2 games, like I said, I think they'll get 1 game, probably the next one, and then the Suns will come out after that and be like, "Nah, you guys are done. We're taking the next 2. This is over." Because
to echo your point for Chris, it may be one of those now or never type deals for him. I mean, the Bucks, those guys, I'm not saying they're thinking this, but there's a high probability they'll have another chance to make it legitimately. Not saying the Suns don't, but Chris Paul at the age of 36, and you never know what could happen with his body and everything like that. He's had injuries in the past. Not saying it'll happen.
Right.
No foreboding or anything nonsense like that. But I'm just saying for him, he's viewing it. I sense from that team they have this is a now or never type deal, and the Bucks just don't have that as much right now. So
right.
It could come down to that.
Plus, now looking at the other side, the only person I see on their bench that for the Bucks side, say a Giannis went down, or say a Chris Middleton, like Giannis, or let's just say with Giannis, since he might still have the lingering injury. There's not really anybody on this bench other than like a Justin Jackson who might be able to give a little bit, because I don't see anybody on here who was doing well during the regular season. They probably just have a couple people that they pulled up from the G League or grabbed right before the season ended to play in the playoffs. So,
well, the missing a Dante DiVincenzo is big in this series as
True.
well, and I'm glad we were able to bring that name up. I'll throw it over to you, Dennis, if you want to comment on that, because DiVincenzo could come in there and provide support. Like if a Middleton's not hitting or something, he can come in and not only score, he can make some plays and maybe get some open shots for Middleton, so Middleton doesn't have to shot create as much. So the impact of Dante DiVincenzo, I mean, if you want to touch on that, and any other final thoughts.
I mean, just say this, right? Let me just say this. I still believe in the Bucks, although right now it's not looking good for the Bucks. But yeah, I mean, these bench guys just need to play out. I mean, I just saw Bobby Portis only played like 439, 2 points, 2 rebounds. We've got Jeff Teague. I actually didn't know Jeff Teague was in the roster until tonight.
Neither did Charles Barkley. You see that the other against the Hawks? He said they said the Hawks need to bring in Jeff Teague because they don't have a backup point guard.
I feel like Jeff Teague right now is not even playing like a borderline All-Star. He's playing like a borderline NBA player at this point. I just feel, I mean, the Bucks. Then Brook Lopez was also getting cooked. I mean, again by Devin Booker from the three. Nobody could stop the 3 ball. I mean,
what's that signature phrase of yours again? Can you say it for us? What were the Suns doing? Were they cooking them Bucks?
They're cooking them Bucks.
Cooking them Bucks, man. 2 straight games. Dear meat, man.
I mean, it was just very hard for me to watch this game because when I just watched it, I was like, what can the Bucks do differently? Aside from Giannis, if you take out, let's say, God forbid, something happens to Giannis, this is gonna be it will be a sweep at this point because, I mean, I'm trying to look at like the silver lining in this situation. The Bucks are down 0-2. I just feel like when the Bucks go home, maybe they can win a game, or even like the next 2 games, maybe I just want them to tie up the series again. But anyway, that would be a long shot. But the way the
Yep.
Phoenix Suns are playing right now, it's gonna be a tough
Yep.
ask for the Milwaukee Bucks to win 2 straight games like the same way the Phoenix
Yep.
Suns
And
did.
it's the way the Suns played this entire
Yeah,
playoffs. We'll wrap it up with Philip. It's not like they're not like one of the most dominant teams of all time. To make a parallel, like when we saw that 2016 Warriors team, the 72 win team, thought nobody could beat them. They were down 3-1 to OKC. So there was a clear crack in the armor there. And then obviously the Cavs make the comeback on them in the finals. The Suns haven't had anything close to any like type of deficit. Maybe the Lakers is the closest thing when they were down 2-1. And that was the when they were the most vulnerable. Since that point, whether you want to attribute it to injuries or not, they've handled their business, right? There's never been a point where you're like, I don't know if the Suns are going to pull it out. Like they've dominated. They dominated that Denver series. They got up 3-1 on the Clippers, and although in Game 5 it was a bit shaky, they handled business in Game 6, so they weren't going to blow any type of lead. And so because they've been so solid, I just don't see like them as the team that would blow the lead. Now, if it comes back, I will gladly take that. I will gladly take that being wrong, but it just doesn't seem like they would be the ones to blow the lead at this point, right? They've been so solid. They have solid coaching, and they're locked in. This is what happens when you're locked in. Booker and Paul, those two leading the charge, they're on a mission. They're on a mission, and I just don't see them giving in.
Yeah, let's not jinx it though, because we've often had
We've seen crazier things.
yeah, we've often had like some sort of injury with Chris Paul or like a fellow starting member, for example, Blake Griffin. So I'm still holding my breath a little bit because yeah, we've already had a confirmation. So 2 Suns players injured. Torrey Craig has a bone contusion. Looks like it's on the patella or the knee when Giannis ran into him. Giannis's left knee is also something that I would still watch out for because there was, like I said, that one play where his landing was awkward. He was knocked off, or like he landed on someone's shoe with the left foot, and I think it twisted. And on top of that, his left knee, the injured knee, that knee was the one that banged into Torrey Craig and caused Torrey Craig to have the obviously bone contusion. So honestly, next game, hopefully no more injuries. Maybe
No
the
more
one
injuries.
that has no injuries.
Yes. Well, it's always something to look out for. Again, we'll echo that sentiment as we close out here that we got to watch out. You know, hopefully, like you said, no more injuries. It's been unfortunately has been a defining factor of the postseason, and hopefully the finals can remain devoid of them, at least to the star players. I mean, it's terrible to lose anybody, but the Suns and the Bucks, they both need their stars to have any chance in this series. Okay, appreciate all you. Again, Sunday night, I guess it'll be like Monday morning for Dennis. You never know with the time zones with that guy. We will be back here after Game 3. If it's 3-0, then I'll try my best to bring the energy. If it's 2-1, then, you know, the energy will be there regardless. So appreciate all y'all, and peace out for the night.
Peace.
Peace.
Deuces.
All right, people. Appreciate everyone again for coming out and showing all the love and support on this live stream. Game 2 of the finals goes to the Suns, 118-108. Historic night. Mikal Bridges and everybody else who chipped in. Devin Booker, B Legendaries on a mission. Chris Paul on a mission. Like I said, that team looks locked in, and we will see what happens going forward. Either way, we will have it for you right here on the channel. This is Topic Tackle. And more is coming soon, so stay solid, people.